Hey everybody, here's CBS.
This is the CBS Evening News. Bob Schieffer sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. Good evening. A U.S. Supreme Court decision today could cost the nation's consumers billions of extra dollars on utility bills. Why? The justices ruled that federally approved electricity rate hikes must be passed on to consumers. Law correspondent Rita Braver has our report.
The Supreme Court today gave power companies a major victory by severely limiting the right of states to block rate hikes for consumers. The decision came in a case involving the Grand Gulf nuclear power plant in Mississippi. While under construction, the facility ran into huge cost overruns and wanted to pass them on to consumers. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission approved the rate hikes, saying it, rather than the state of Mississippi, had the final say, because the company that owns Grand Gulf operates across state lines, with plants in 3 other states as well. But Mississippi sued, arguing that states have the right to protect their own citizens. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court sided with the commission. The court said that when businesses operate across state lines, federal regulations prevail. The decision will have broad impact because, as with Mississippi, many other state utilities are now owned by large holding companies.
The Supreme Court decision has robbed the citizens because their state regulators will no longer be able to look at a plant that has been built and say, did their utility spend the ratepayers' money wisely?
But the utility companies say the decision is fair because large companies will only have to deal with the commission rather than each individual state whenever they want to increase rates.
Utilities' main cost of doing business is the cost of capital. And unless there is some certainty in the regulatory process, it's going to be more expensive to borrow money.
The decision is expected to encourage even more utilities to form large holding companies and thus avoid state regulation. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
Also today, the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that children from poor families do not have a constitutional right to free school bus service. In a sharp dissent, Justice Thurgood Marshall said the ruling showed callous indifference to the realities of life for the poor. President Reagan's AIDS Commission spent a year studying the disease and its impact. Today, the panel delivered its findings with no fanfare, but right on schedule. White House correspondent Bill Plant reports.
The controversial report of the President's AIDS Task Force, printed just last night, went to the White House, but not to the President. Instead, Mr. Reagan will first see the work of his Blue Ribbon Commission on Monday, when he is briefed by its chairman, retired Admiral James Watkins. Among its 600 recommendations for sweeping new measures to deal with the AIDS crisis, billions of dollars in new funding by 1990, stronger confidentiality laws, and the one to which the White House is most vigorously opposed, a federal anti-discrimination law to protect anyone with the AIDS virus. Unlike most presidential commissions, the AIDS Task Force will get no White House fanfare, no news coverage. Mr. Reagan will simply release a written statement after his meeting with Admiral Watkins. But with over 65,000 cases now reported in the United States, many in the administration feel the problem can't be ignored. Sources tell CBS News the White House is expected to adopt one recommendation of the report and name a single high-profile official to formulate a plan of action for dealing with the AIDS problem. The administration's critics remain unimpressed.
This administration has been determined not to give the resources and the attention and the credibility to this crisis that it needs, and the Presidential Commission said it ought to have.
There is pressure on the White House from inside the administration to send a positive signal by giving current AIDS discrimination guidelines for federal workers the upgraded status of a presidential proclamation. But most of this report's recommendations will take a lot more time than this administration has left. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
U.S. Attorney General Edwin Meese today backed off his prediction that criminal charges in the defense contract fraud investigation could be filed in 30 to 90 days. Today, Meese said it may take a lot longer. In the meantime, some foreign customers have started questioning whether they're getting a fair shake from U.S. defense contractors. Pentagon correspondent David Martin has that story.
In the first international fallout from the Pentagon bribery probe, the Swiss government today asked the Defense Department for information about alleged corruption involving the proposed $2 billion sale of American jet fighters to Switzerland. McDonnell Douglas, maker of the F-18, and General Dynamics, maker of the F-16, are competing to sell about 40 airplanes to Switzerland. But an FBI search warrant alleges that McDonnell Douglas obtained inside information about the General Dynamics proposal. That would give McDonnell Douglas an unfair and illegal advantage in the competition.
Today's action by the Swiss is just one sign of how far the ripples of the bribery scandal are likely to spread. Today on Capitol Hill, members of Congress introduced what is sure to be the first of many proposals to overhaul the Pentagon.
This one would make the Pentagon's Inspector General, the internal watchdog, independent of the Department of Defense.
The Inspector General will not have to report and go for its budget to the DOD anymore. They would have that complete independence to go directly make its case to the administration and Congress for a budget.
The man who was Secretary of Defense while much of the alleged bribery was going on continues to insist that the system is not broke.
Bear in mind that we have practically 3 million people in this whole chain, not just procurement, but the whole department. And you're at the total mercy of one or two dishonest people.
And defense industry representatives warn that attempts to overhaul the system could make it worse.
Let's don't throw the whole system out and start over with a new one. It's a very complex system as it is. And I think we have to be very careful that we consider it in totality before we move forward with something we're really not sure about.
With as many as 100 people suspected of possible criminal conduct, Congress seems unlikely to buy the argument that the system does not need to be changed. The search for change begins in earnest next week with hearings by the House Armed Services Committee, some of whose members have themselves been implicated in the scandal. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
And in another scandal uncovered today, employees of 2 U.S. defense research firms were among those arrested on charges of plotting to smuggle sophisticated rocket system technology to Egypt. Deborah Potter reports.
5 people, including 2 Egyptian military officials, were accused today of conspiracy to illegally export sensitive U.S. defense technology to Egypt.
Customs agents in Baltimore seized an Egyptian Air Force plane and several hundred pounds of heat-resistant material that could have been used to upgrade missiles in the Egyptian military arsenal. Named in the conspiracy, Abdel Kader Helmi, a research engineer at a California aerospace company, his wife Albia Helmi, and James Huffman of the Teledyne defense firm. An Egyptian Colonel Shusha of Baltimore also was arrested. He has claimed diplomatic immunity. The Justice Department says the illegal export operation was directed by an Egyptian colonel based in Austria, and it was designed to acquire a sophisticated missile system, including materials used in the highly secret stealth bomber. None of the materials ever made it to Egypt.
Administration officials say it's a major case, a serious breach of U.S. export laws by what one official called a supposedly friendly government. The Egyptian embassy here in Washington had no comment. Deborah Potter, CBS News, Washington.
The Agriculture Department opened a toll-free hotline today for farmers hard hit by the drought. The staff is providing information about federal assistance, and on this first day of operation, calls were coming in at the rate of 1 a minute. Many farmers asking how they can get grain to feed their livestock.
I will refer your question, and you should have an answer within 24 hours.
The drought couldn't have come at a worse time for Vice President George Bush, who's been trying to shore up political support in the Midwest. Jacqueline Adams has more on that now.
Today, presidential candidate George Bush said bluntly that he came to Cincinnati to plant seeds for votes. He couldn't bring rain, but he did try to ease farmers' fears about the drought.
I simply want to reassure agricultural Ohio that there is understandable concern in Washington about the drought.
The vice president has been highly visible in the White House's relief efforts, but the drought has soured the mood of farmers whose economic comeback had been so strong that last year their income hit a record high.
It creates a little bit of depression out here, and people aren't, they're apprehensive and they're concerned, and that doesn't help George Bush.
In George's Cafe in Knoxville, Illinois, even rock-ribbed Republican farmers are having second thoughts about Bush.
I'm a Republican, but I've never been very much of a Bush man. But I will have to support him somehow now, I suppose. I can't go the other route.
The drought has also stirred the anxieties of shift workers in nearby Peoria. One of the main employers, Caterpillar, has begun hiring back some of the 20,000 men and women who'd been laid off. Bush wants to take credit for that economic comeback.
Let Michael Dukakis talk about plant closings, and I'll talk about plant openings and the 16 million new jobs that we've created in the last 5.5 years.
But the pain of their job drought is still fresh in the United Auto Workers' memories. They blame Ronald Reagan and his political heir.
Soup kitchens all over town feeding people. We never had that before Reagan's time.
If George Bush is elected president, it'll be exactly 4 more years of Ronald Reagan. And we have experienced 7.5 years of Ronald Reagan now, and it's been totally devastating to the membership.
Bush has described the Midwest with its 137 electoral votes as the battleground in the fall election. But unless there's rain, his harvest may be as uncertain as the farmers. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Cincinnati.
And still to come on the CBS Evening News, Charles Osgood with a report on migratory workers who have reached a bleak autumn in their lives, and Bob McNamara with the story of the Texarkana twins.
Nabisco frosted wheat squares. Name's too long. Don't need Nabisco. It's up in the corner frosted. Yes, you can see it's frosted for great taste. Wheat. What else from the shredded wheat people? For great nutrition. Squares. Do these bite-sized squares look round? I doubt it. No. That's a nice short name.
Nevertheless, we prefer Nabisco frosted wheat squares. Great taste and great nutrition.
I like this name better.
Nabisco. It's Lobster Fest time at Red Lobster. We know what you love the most. At our Lobster Fest, we do lobster best. No one else even comes close.
From $8.95, kids just 99 cents.
Have a tempting lobster trio. Mornay, if you're in the mood. La, la, la. Our tails are the best at our Lobster Fest. We know how you love seafood.
Now Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, lobster and shrimp trio just $11.95.
The finer things, happily some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. So fine, it's even made with white wine.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon? But of course.
Grey Poupon, one of life's finer pleasures.
Do you get more than you want from your high-fiber cereal, like sodium and added sugar? Get Fiber One. It has more fiber and it's low in sodium and has no added sugar. Get more of the fiber your body needs and less of the stuff it doesn't. Fiber One.
There was a new outbreak of violence on the occupied West Bank today. Israelis and Palestinians fought in 2 separate incidents described as the most serious since an underground communique earlier this week which called for stepped-up attacks on Israelis. Anthony Mason reports.
The Israeli settler was ready for a fight. When Arab teenagers hit his passing car with stones, he reached for his rifle. For several minutes, he sprayed gunfire through the streets in the West Bank city of Nablus. When his ammunition ran out, he drove off, and the army moved in to restore order. The soldiers' rubber bullets and tear gas injured 6 Palestinians. The settlers' gunshots wounded 7.
We have a boy of 8 years old with a bullet in his thigh.
It was the second battle of the day between settlers and Arabs. In the middle of the market area in Hebron, a Palestinian stabbed a Jewish settler in the shoulder and back. 33-year-old Yonah Shaken, who moved to the West Bank from Boston, chased his assailant and shot him.
This is a direct result of American pressure on Israel not to take strong steps against Arabs.
We are very sorry that he only wounded him. In our opinion, of the victim of terror organization, he should kill him.
The brutal murder of an Israeli farmer this week by what are believed to have been Palestinians already had many Israelis raising their voices for revenge. The press is blamed for provoking attacks, and cameramen were not welcomed by settlers in Hebron today. Many Jewish settlers have called on the government to expel all Arab troublemakers, but today the army tried the opposite strategy. 89 Palestinian prisoners were released, part of a new policy to reward good behavior. Said the defense minister, "We want to use the carrot as well as the stick." Anthony Mason, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
On the second day of his visit to Austria, Pope John Paul celebrated an outdoor mass for an estimated 80,000 people. The emotional high point of the day came earlier at a place where thousands died during World War II. Doug Tennell reports.
After calling on Austrians to be mindful of this nation's Nazi past, the Pope walked right through the heart of it today at the former Nazi concentration camp of Mauthausen. It proved to be a controversial journey that produced one chilling image that was not part of the Vatican's agenda. When a group of Jewish activists tried to raise a wartime picture of Austrian President Kurt Waldheim in Nazi uniform, Austrian police broke up the demonstration with the zeal of troopers who may have thought the cameras were out of range. 5 Jews were detained just outside the walls of one of Europe's most infamous concentration camps. Austrian Jews had hoped the Pope would issue a powerful denunciation of anti-Semitism at Mauthausen today, but he did not. Instead, he angered some Jewish leaders here by omitting any specific reference to the Jewish Holocaust victims of all nationalities. Nearly 110,000 persons perished here in Mauthausen. 34 of them were Americans. 44,000 of them were Poles. A powerful fact for a Polish Pope who was himself a forced laborer in a Nazi work camp.
He knows Auschwitz. He suffered personally under the occupation of the Nazis. And he feels perhaps even more than we do. We feel it because many people in Austria didn't know that Mauthausen exists.
But many people here saw how deeply Mauthausen moved the Pope today. It was a place of domination, he said, of everyone thought to be an enemy or of those who were just different or simply human. The Pope probably never saw the posters or heard the shouts of the Jews who came to Mauthausen today. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Mauthausen.
More mudslides poured down today on the Turkish village, devastated by yesterday's slides. The new slides sent boulders crashing down on the village and disrupted efforts by rescue workers to reach the dozens of people believed buried. So far, only one body has been recovered. One of 3 fires that forced thousands from their homes in Guadalupe, Mexico, flared up again today, only hours after it was declared out. The fire started yesterday in 3 gasoline storage tanks, and all but one remained under control today. 4 people were killed, 20 others injured in that accident. Haiti's recently deposed president, Leslie Manigat, arrived in Miami today from the Dominican Republic. It's the first stop on an international campaign by Manigat to rally opposition against the military leader who deposed him on Sunday, General Namfi. Manigat appealed to the United States for continued backing.
It's a first. The fantastic 59-cent sale at Color Tile. Hundreds of products are on sale starting at 59 cents. Beautiful ceramic floor tiles like this, just 59 cents. Handsome imported ceramic wall tiles like this one, just 59 cents each. Dramatic vinyl floor tiles, just 59 cents. And Armstrong sheet vinyl as low as 59 cents a square foot. It's all at Color Tile's fantastic 59-cent sale, but only till Sunday. Bring the beauty home. Color Tile.
Around here, breakfast time is like the playoffs. My goal is getting him to eat right. His game plan's a little different. So I give him Wheaties. It's full of good nutrition, not sugar. He's sweet enough.
Wheaties, 100% whole wheat, naturally low in sugar. That's champion nutrition for the whole family.
Victory.
Dentuaries. Now everybody's calling me the Fresh Mouth. Thanks to Super Strength Polidin Green. It's got a minty mouthwash ingredient, so it freshens up dentures as it cleans tough stains. Try Super Strength Polidin Green, the mouth freshening clean. Ah.
Now for indigestion, gas. Introducing new Extra Strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new Extra Strength Malox Plus.
Americans earned more last month than they did the month before. The government reported today that personal income in May was up 0.3%. For thousands of Americans, all income stopped when they stopped working. They're migrant farm workers, too old to work and now struggling to survive without a pension, some without a home. Charles Osgood has their story.
Come on, let's go. You can only do the back-breaking work migrants do for so long. Only so many years can you follow the sun from the groves of Florida to the fields of Maryland and New Jersey to pick the corn and cucumbers, the peppers and potatoes. Until recently, nobody had to worry about how migrants might support themselves in their old age. Their average life expectancy, even now, is only 45. They have missed out on the small retirement benefits the unions have won for some migrant workers in recent years. It is as if the world is done with them when their bodies are stooped and worn and they have reaped their final harvest. But more and more, there are those who live long enough to wonder what is to become of them.
Find anything, Mom?
Cornelius Williams and his wife Roxana traveled the East Coast for 60 years picking crops since he was 16 and she was 14 years old. Now, as they walk the dusty roads of Immokalee, Florida, it is empty cans they harvest, a cash crop of aluminum.
While we pick up these cans, I and her have a hard time getting by.
I'll be on one side of the road and he'd be on the other. That's bad. It's rough picking up cans.
1 pound of crushed cans brings 30 cents. That's all they have to supplement a Social Security check of $250 a month that barely pays the rent on the 2 ramshackle rooms they live in. Dinner is usually a chicken neck and some rice.
A lot of times you'd be wanting something to eat and wouldn't have no money to buy it with.
You got to do something like this, young, to get by. You got to do it.
John Brown is the son of migrants. His ticket out of the fields was a college football scholarship. Now he heads a nonprofit agency in Belle Glade, Florida, building low-income housing, especially for elderly migrants.
Well, it's like a godsend for some of the people that have not really have had what we call a safe and decent house. So it means that in their twilight years, they will not think that they have just been forgotten.
Nobody has to tell Dorothy Brown about the value of a dollar. She did farm work for 50 years.
Well, now, that'll go back to when I was around about 7 years old in Georgia. I was toting a 24-pound flour sack on my shoulder picking cotton. If you're going to make money, you're going to have to really get on your knees and crawl in the water, mud, and everything to make money.
She lives here now in one of the 65 apartments John Brown's group has built for poor migrant farm workers.
Oh, this here looks like a mansion to what I left from.
65 dwellings in a place where 1,000 or more are needed. And in Immokalee, where the Williamses eke out their living, no special consideration at all for such as they. The corn and tomatoes they picked are long gone now. You and I ate them. Does it seem right that all we have for them now is our empty cans? Charles Osgood, CBS News.
What harm can a little water do? The damaging effects of water and time have always been wood's enemy. Introducing new Rust-Oleum Wood Saver Paint, a special wood formula with Teflon for twice the moisture protection of ordinary paint. So if it's going to get wet, get Rust-Oleum.
America's best-selling compact pickup. America's best-selling full-size pickup, 11 years running. Just part of the most successful line of trucks in America. And while these trucks are obviously tough, guessing who makes them is easy. Ford.
Winning the world over. Have you been behind the wheel? Winning the world over. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Do you get more than you want from your high-fiber cereal, like sodium and added sugar? Get Fiber One. It has more fiber and it's low in sodium and has no added sugar. Get more of the fiber your body needs and less of the stuff it doesn't. Fiber One.
It's a first. Color Tile's fantastic 59-cent sale. Ceramic floor tiles, wall tiles, vinyl tiles, sheet vinyls, starting as low as 59 cents. Color Tile's fantastic 59-cent sale now till Sunday. Bring the beauty home. Color Tile.
Well, it takes all kinds to make a world, but we have a story tonight about two of the same kind. It is told by Bob McNamara.
Walk up to Mary Weems, and it's like, suddenly, it's like there's two of her. Same giggles, the same glasses, same hairdos, same clothes, everything together. You've guessed by now that Mary Weems, now on the right, is the identical twin to Gene Stevens. And with the butterflies back around Texarkana, Texas, Mary Weems, Gene Stevens, and their nets are back in the woods.
You ought to see us running after them when they're in the air. Now that's a funny. Oh, Gene, there's a spice bush. I'm gonna get it. I got it. Oh, look.
But as thrilled as if it were the first butterfly they'd caught, it's not.
This is a cabbage butterfly, American lady, giant swallowtail.
Today, Mary Weems and Gene Stevens' homes are filled with butterflies. In Mary's house, they're displayed wall to wall in shirt boxes. They're up on the knick-knack shelves. And at Gene's house, they spill off the walls of a spare bedroom down to cover the bed. Boxes of monarchs, orange-tipped gulfates, more than 3,000 collected together over nearly 15 years. It's almost a religion.
Only God can make a butterfly and make a tree. Man can paint them, but they can't create them. And I believe God put these here for us to enjoy. I hope this is the God.
But Mary Weems and Gene Stevens, they don't keep the butterflies to themselves.
Look how beautiful.
They go to schools, to Lions and Ladies Clubs. But like Randy Smith, you are struck by how two people are so much alike, so close. It's one thing they look and dress alike. It's another that each raised families in houses next door to each other. And there's another thing.
We've got our burial lots right side beside each other. Her family. Burial lot. Burial lot. Her family and our family. Now that's togetherness, isn't it?
But in the meantime, look for Gene Stevens and Mary Weems in the woods around Texarkana. You'll know them. Not just looking alike, but sounding alike when saying what it takes to catch butterflies.
A lot of patience.
Bob McNamara, CBS News, Texarkana, Texas.
That's the news. Bob Schiffer sitting in for Dan Rather. I'll be here tomorrow, and Dan will be back on Monday. Good night.
How come your coffee is darker than mine?
Mine's decaffeinated Folgers Crystals. Yours is the decaffeinated brand you've been drinking for years.
Mine's lighter looking.
See these dark, sparkling crystals made from Folgers mountain-grown coffee.
It smells really rich. Alice, looks and aroma are one thing, but how does it taste?
Have a sip.
Mountain grown. Alice, you're right, as usual.
Now I know why I married you. You're so sensible.
Decaffeinated Folgers Crystals. So dark and rich. Shouldn't you switch?
You're listening to the highest standard for telephone clarity, an AT&T phone. But what about cordless phones? The trouble is too many of them sound like this. That's why AT&T developed this new generation of cordless phones with clarity that rivals our corded phones. Now, when you can buy a cordless phone that sounds like this, or an AT&T cordless 52 or 5300 that sounds like this, the clear choice is the right choice.
Susan's class is at its worst, and so's her headache. That's why she takes Metaprin. It has the same medicine as Motrin, and nothing's proven faster for relief of pain. Metaprin works fast when you haven't got time for the pain.
Just a sprinkle.
A day
helps keep
odor away.
And now with new unscented, Shower to Shower has 4 ways to help you feel drier and fresher between showers.
Have you had your sprinkle today?
Be sure to watch Channel 5 for details about the 2nd annual Buy Tennessee First campaign and find out how you can participate.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, many more Tennessee counties are eligible for federal drought assistance tonight. We'll have a report from Washington on how soon and in what form that help will come.
And we'll tell you why 60 families in Christian County, Kentucky